Thank you folks for clicking on the video. If you'd like to be informed when new videos go live, please hit that subscribe button and don't forget to hit that bell notification icon. Please feel free to like, comment, and share the video with family and friends, as it really does help the channel grow in the current YouTube algorithm structure. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Swamp Dog Games. Today we're going to be doing a review of the beginner's box for the BattleTech wargame. There will be a future review about the BattleTech rules proper once you get into the core rule set, the expanded options that are available for this wargame. But today, this will be just what is in the beginner's box. Is it worth your time? Is it worth your money compared to some other wargames out there? Of which I was initially going to compare this specifically with Warhammer 40k and do a beginner's box by beginner's box direct comparison. I went out, saw the prices of a beginner's box for 40k, nearly had a heart attack, and realized that until I get that sweet YouTuber money, I am probably not going to be buying any 40k starter boxes anytime soon. As a comparison, just off the top of the bat, this retail, or the MSRP, is $25 for this beginner's box. That's just MSRP. If you can get this on sometimes Amazon or like a good sale through your local game store, preferably, you can usually get it down to about 20. I've had like half off. They just had a humble bundle for recently that you could get a beginner's box as part of a PDF purchase haul, physical box, just pay shipping and handling. I think I paid $20 for the bundle and then another $8 for shipping of this specific box. And again, that's a complete bundle set that has core rules, has a lot of universe, some mission pack information stuff in it, and the physical box, all for effectively less than $30, which is a pretty good entry point into a war game, in my opinion. This is probably going to be going away now that Topps has been bought by Fanatical and all of the grief that entails. I've been playing BattleTech, since it was under the WizKids brand. I've really loved this genre. My first introduction to this universe dates all the way back to the Windows 95 MechWarrior 2 video game. So if I accidentally state names of mechs that aren't what you believe they are on the packaging, you might want to do a quick comparison between the clan name and the Inner Sphere name. Those are roughly two of the largest generalized groups. Essentially, the Inner Sphere is old humanity in the universe by a couple different nation states, as sort of like, think like the Western powers, and then the clan is sort of this alien species, alien descendants of a famous general in this universe that came back to reconquer the galaxy. They came from outside the Inner Sphere. There are a couple other, they call themselves the clans, other nation states, things like Warsaw Pact. So it's effectively Space NATO versus Space Warsaw Pact, with completely independent ideologies of either of those two groups facing it out. But we'll get into that later. For now, we'll go into the actual unboxing of the war game. As you can see, making sure that I am completely surprised by what's in this beginner's box. As I said, I've been loving the game ever since then. Bought the original producers of this game, FASA, F-A-S-A, were the original creators of the BattleTech license back in '88, I believe, off the top of my head. And it's been going strong with a small but very dedicated community ever since. It's rare in sci-fi in that it is highly inspired by like Japanese mecha style warfare, though with the Western spin. It is completely human, this universe. Even though we span like thousands and thousands of planets, the universe itself is only humans, minus one book in the expanded lore that got everybody a little upset to the point that I think they said that effectively retconned the one alien species that they ever tried introducing into the book, into the universe. Looking into the beginning of this, we get two mechs in here, a Griffin and a Vindicator. Unlike, again, doing direct comparisons to probably one of the biggest war games out there, Warhammer 40k, as an example, these mechs are all assembled and ready to go right out of the box. So what you lose in out-of-the-box customization, you gain in the fact that the second you open this up and read the rules, you can actually play this game. These new plastic minis are very nice. It used to be that the only available mechs were from a company, Ironwind, that did old pewter sculpts, and if you've ever tried gluing a pewter sculpt that you haven't properly cleaned before, as a kid, not knowing how to properly assemble them, they are a pain for first-time users if you're not used to model assembly. These new plastic guys are pretty cool. They did briefly have a build-it-yourself mech that was a limited release on the Catalyst store website. I hope they bring those back so that you can do more customized posings of official miniatures. We'll get into the availability of miniatures in general a bit later. So as it starts off, you get two fully formed, ready-to-go BattleMechs in this game. This is the... skipping a little bit ahead. These games also include a nice little bit of fiction to get you really into the universe. I'm now doing a comparison between this and the old WizKids starter box that I remember. The old WizKids, it was about $25, maybe, actually I take that back, maybe closer to 40, and back then didn't have the miniatures. But it did come with a little bit of a in-universe story, as well as a description of some basic terms that you're going to be encountering. This universe is a very hard science fiction universe. Compared to games like 40k or even like Star Wars, that the math was kind of a second thought, and often you had people going, oh, that sounds cool, let me throw that ridiculous number to indicate the power of some of these weapons, of which I think if you look at like the original expanded universe lore for Star Wars, the blaster rifles that they all use effectively put out super plasma that was hotter than the sun, and so by firing it should technically have killed everybody in the immediate vicinity of who pulled the trigger. BattleTech, on the other hand, wants to be a very hard science fiction universe. When it goes into depth of what's going on, it wants you to know that there is grounded logic behind the decisions. Now, some of this in the BattleTech lore does inherit some issues back from their 80s origins. So there is a little bit of how those in the 80s and early 90s thought the future would look. Some of the in-universe technology has been kind of far surpassed by us in the real world in some areas. So, but thankfully in the lore, one of the biggest ways of getting around this is there was effectively the golden age of mankind, where effectively the Federation of Planets, known as the Star League, existed. Peace reigned throughout the lands, and of course, because of human desire for power, things got messed up. If you want one of the greatest lore introductions to the BattleTech universe, pa-ching! I need to figure out something my own. I can't steal Uncle Adam's pachow. Go to the cards and look for Tex Talks BattleTech, the Ameris Civil War. Great primer to the Star League and the major background that led into the modern BattleTech universe. But after that, essentially, everybody was like, oh, this huge civil war is over, power vacuum, let's all try to seize power, and so effectively creates an intergalactic dark age of mankind, and so all these technologies are lost with the exception of the barest minimum tech level required to keep maintaining these battle mechs so they can form endless wars across the galaxy. So it can kind of explain the tech loss, but it does play a little bit fast and loose sometimes with reality. But it's very hard grounded military fiction. Some of the writers are big into making sure that the realism, or even though it's fake realism, it gives you the sense that there's a coherent, logically consistent universe that you are playing in, with logically consistent goals of the various peoples of the various factions, and the technology does follow in-universe rules to a very good extent. Now, these are a little bit nicer than the old record sheets that used to come in these boxes. This box is 8.5 by 11 with 2 inches depth. It used to be just 8.5 by 11 standard U.S. letterhead record sheets that had the battle mech and the breakdown. The mechs in this are described in the corner, gives you a little bit of stats about the vehicle's capabilities, a little bit of history of all the mechs that you'll be using in here, and this is your record sheet. The primary concerns with the mechs for in the beginner box, it used to be just tonnage. When you go into more advanced styles of play, there are battle value and there are C-bill, which is the in-universe currency, ways of calculating the effectiveness or the maximum offensive output of these mechs to balance out forces. In these beginner boxes, it just sticks with the tonnage, I believe. Though those other values will go into much more in depth later. The armor diagram, this, unlike, because you're fighting just a few robots on a few robots, rather than shooting a miniature, killing that miniature, and then maybe the miniature leaves, and the health is of the unit based upon how many miniatures on the field. Instead, each mech has basic armor values, and so you roll every time you try to hit one of these mechs, hit location, and then you chink away at its armor, and as you destroy various parts of it, that damage likelihood moves inward to the core. Critical hit locations is when either the armor's gone and you start impacting critical locations. Actually, I take that back. I am thinking of the advanced rules. This actually does not have critical locations on it. This is going to be, again, your basic introductory box set rules. Because in the more advanced stuff that I remember playing, you also have piloting skill. This just has gunnery. So this is, apparently, they've knocked down the rules even more simplified to get into it than I remember. But yeah, you roll on a 2d6 when attacking with your mech. You have various ranges. These ranges are in hexes. If you double these numbers, you get the inch equivalents. If you want to do this on a tabletop, this was a very versatile war game in that you can either do it tabletop, you can do it through inches with a ruler with your buddies and use all kinds of nice handmade terrain, or you can use, I believe this comes with a hex map inside that you can use to play these games, which, because of the hex map usage, this game does lend itself to the virtual tabletop, and there have been many fan projects that support it. I believe... Is it Megamech? I'm remembering the old software. There's Solaris Skunkworks, which is a Java program to build mechs for you. And I'm trying to remember the software. Whatever the software is, you'll see it pop up on screen. Through the power of YouTube, behold! And that will be the software that you can use to do virtual tabletop with friends. Honestly, some of the most advanced software, though I haven't had the opportunity to play this game in forever with someone. Now, these mech cards also provide a little bit of history of the pilot. And do these include special rules? I'm sorry for quoting things that might not be included in this box. This game is very flexible in that it has a multitude of ways that you can play it. There's also another form of this game called Alpha Strike, which takes a lot of the complexity away and simplifies it where your entire data sheet is on the card. And I have never played Alpha Strike. I prefer the full-on, full-blown rules way of playing BattleTech, but it's supposed to allow for a faster gameplay with more units. And then this includes some special abilities that the pilots can engage in to spice up the game a little bit. Of course, you need your 2d6 in order to play, which... minor note for Games Workshop, with how much you frickin' charge and you don't even provide the minimum number of dice necessary to actually get the game started. I'm like, you cheapskates. Get rid of this vacuum form. These are the quick start rules. I love the BattleTech font that they use, this sort of cyber look. I think this might be based off of the font they use for Cyberpunk. Not Cyberpunk, sorry, Shadowrun, which is a very Cyberpunk-inspired universe, but with more magic and elves and dwarves and stuff in it. These are your basic rules in order to play BattleTech, the simplified game. Again, I might quote something slightly different in here because I remember the full rules. I have not played this beginner version, so I do apologize if I quote something that is incorrect in it. But most games, it's you roll 2d6 when attacking. The range stats on your card indicate usually involve modifiers. Oh yeah, if it's short range, medium range, long range, you can mix different weapon types together if they overlap. So let's say here, as an example, you're at 7 hexes away from the target. Your LRM 7 is a +0 to hit modifier, but your medium laser would be, because we passed the 6, so it would be in the long range. This is its maximum range, so we'd be in the +4 category to hit with the medium laser when attacking the target. You roll based upon modifiers, based upon how much your mech moved, their mech moved. If jump jets were enabled, some weapons have other penalties that are attached with them. That might be more advanced play. Intervening terrain also has an impact. This game also allows on the hex map different elevation levels, which impact play, as well as you can have various terrain features that either block line of sight totally, like a mountain, or you could have forest, which make shooting more difficult. And then you roll, you try to shoot over the target number, and then if you succeed, then you roll off to see where you hit on the mech. You apply the damage value. So, for example, LRM 5s, 10s, these allow for in-game splash damage, which means that you group them in lots of 5 and then roll. So there's a missile chart in here somewhere that you would roll to see how many missiles actually hit. So let's say out of 10 you have 6 missiles hit, so you would roll 5 damage in one location, roll again, and then you would have 1 damage in another location. Does this have back on it? This just has single armor values everywhere. I don't see any back armor. Assuming they haven't changed that part for advanced play. These also require facing, so there's a lot of tactical play in this compared to other games. It's a alternating activation system, where essentially you want to move last. The idea being you want your enemy mech to move first so that you can then better position your mechs in response to them. So it's their mech move, your mech move, their mech, your mech, and keep going back and forth until all mechs moved. The nice thing about this, however, is the combat phase all occurs at exactly the same time. So though you are alternating back and forth for administrative purposes, as well as, again, I believe you still attack second, which it's not for damage to be applied. That's just so that you, as the second person shooting, can then better decide the allocation of resources. Because if you're shooting these, then some weapons have... I just realized, if you're playing the full game, the big resource that you have to worry about is heat. When using heat, every time you move generates heat, firing a weapon takes heat. Sometimes a weapon, when it impacts your mech, can also cause heat buildup. Heat is the allocation resource. As you get more heat, there's a chance for more and more bad things to occur to your mech, including eventually, if you hit heat at a certain point, it's a total shutdown. This game seems to do away with that. This is, instead of keeping it simple to what I would think just slightly more complicated than what Alpha Strike does. I mean, it is, however, even though I'm remembering more advanced features, the amount of information that I'm probably vomiting on you with quoting things outside of this game is probably what scares people away from this game the most. It has a lot of crunchy resource management built on top of the battle simulation that that are run in this game. And so this beginner box has decided instead to keep some of the upper level concepts the same. I'm assuming keeps your gunnery effectively the same, the range modifiers the same, the armor damage allocation the same, but eliminates some of the more crunchy administrative tasks so that this can be absorbed by a new player easier than if you were to just vomit all the information on top of them. Here was what I was talking about with the different ranges, how they impact shooting one another. Going over damage resolution, some basic scenarios to play. And, of course, what quick start rule set wouldn't be complete without more products that you can buy to increase your joy of the game. I'm going to have to get this, I guess, and the Clan Invasion box again to try to see how those compare to this beginner's box. And then here is your quick reference table. Yes, this has been cut down significantly. When I play this game, there's 4 or 5 pages of reference sheets that you need. This is all condensed it into one game, so or one page. So I'm assuming they've kept, however, the initiative phase where you roll off to see who has initiative. That might be influenced by the pilots, I'm not sure. The movement phase when you alternate activations, and then the weapon attack phase when you declare it. But going back to what I was saying, all damage is resolved simultaneously. So unlike, again, a game like 40K, where you risk putting a unit on play, losing the initiative, that first round, you end up having that great unit that you spent all that time painting and getting ready for play is wiped out because the enemy viewed him as a specific threat that needed to be taken out. This gives all of your units a chance to shine by at least getting to engage in at least one round of combat before getting defeated, and hopefully they don't have it ganged up on you so badly that it's wiped out in the first turn, though I have seen that happen. Though that's usually a poor allocation of resources to gang up on a mech that badly. Your basic in-galaxy primer, Now, I've got multiple physical maps of this universe from different box sets that I've bought over the years. There's like thousands of planets around here. Essentially, I called it NATO, but it's effectively U.S. and Europe. Well, sorry, U.S. England is House Davian. House Kurita is effectively Imperial Japan. So that would be, again, like World War II. We are here to violently conquer Japan, not the let's all make Nintendo games and cute Kirby mascots for Westerners to play. This is effectively Space Germany with some banking garbage mixed in with it. Free Worlds League, how would I define that one? Capellans and House Liao, this is effectively Space China, and I mean like the worst of space communist China in here. So like Mao's Red Revolution, Space China, complete with organ harvesting, mass murder of citizens, and the like. You do have, as Tex would say, Space AT&T that runs the entire intergalactic communications network, as well as a military that later ends up stopping the alien invaders from outside the inner sphere. This is the year 3025. This is about 25 years before the Klan invasion. This is still in a phase known as the Secession Wars, where all the different states are still trying to fight over the remnants of the Star League and who's going to be the big boss. By this time, effectively, they've stopped really being any hopes of a Star League, and it's essentially been reduced to like feudal Europe infighting. Yeah. I'm like really trying to figure out what I would... Oh, they also have the worlds count. Yeah, as you can see, 500 for Davian, House Kurita 412, 27 for Liao, 443 for Steiner, 1 because they have Earth. For Comstar, and then 333 for House Merrick. Yeah, this game loves to put in a lot of references in the game, as you can see here, Encyclopedia Galactica. There's a lot of real-world in-references that they make, including one of the supplements where they effectively reference the A-Team as sort of an in-universe entertainment show against the Klan invasion. I'm stalling for time as I'm like desperately trying to figure out how I would describe House Merrick. Then you also have these grayed out areas are the periphery states. These are minor nations that have kind of been able to exist outside of the major government sphere and like the frontier. I still remember the intro to MechWarrior 3. It is the 31st century, and mankind is once again at war. Dominating the battlefields of the future are huge robotic war machines known as BattleMechs. Piloting these awesome weapons of war are men and women, the elite of the elite, knowing that each battle may be their last. They are Mech Warriors. Which they've sort of got like hero knights in shining armor reputation within the universe. Oh, yep, Ironwind medals. These are the ones I was talking about. This one was a parody one year. I don't believe he ever had an official rule set release for three-legged battle mechs. Though, I guess they also, if you want, you can use coupon code METALStarter and get yourself some pewter. Admittedly, though these are not nice, the pewter ones still retain the look of the original battle mechs, and there's more variety. There, as the game has gone on, been variants of mechs over the years to keep with, again, that I think they're up to year 30. Excuse me. One of these had the eras on the back of it. Yeah, I'm not sure where they are right now. Because Civil War, this was 3050, this was 3060. Jihad was like 3065-ish. I think they're in like 31 something now. I have not read the Ilkhan series. I'm not 100% sure. But as, again, in universe, as technology has progressed, and just like in the real world, military hardware gets iterative upgrade packages throughout its lifespan to continue its effectiveness as more challenges come its way. Mechs have received various variant upgrades, and as more technology has become available, so Iron Winds has the, like, as you can see here, like the Shadowhawk SHD-2H. There might be simple, like a 2I version, which has an upgrade package, but looks slightly different because there's a slightly different weapons loadout, because new technologies have allowed a slightly different loadout to occur on the battle mech. Iron Wind has a lot of the variants on that. They also have, if another Thassa game from its time, Crimson Skies, which will be reviewed later when I can get a hold of the Crimson Skies material, which is a diesel punk war game. Iron Wind still has the metal or pewter miniatures for that. I don't know how they've kept it going on this long, Iron Wind, but they've got some really good stuff. It's just I've had some bad experience with their customer service getting items. This is another nice fact of the game. Even though you only have the 2 mechs, it does include an entirely matched force of cardboard stand-ins, so that it allows each to field a lance, which is an inner sphere military formation of battle mechs, which a lance is 4 battle mechs. So it gives you some options, so both players can start off with a full lance of battle mechs. Playing. It also has these cardboard terrain pieces, so even though these hex maps, which are your primary way of playing the game, have, as you can see in this example, where it's got light indicating light terrain with trees. Does it have elevation anywhere? I see light. I don't see any elevation markers. Again, for basic purposes, this actually looks like pretty flat terrain. So it looks like they decided not to go with any elevation levels on this, but it allows, with these cardboard standings, to do some customization, so you're not constantly reusing the hex map. I know I'm not going to be able to get this in frame properly, but as you can see, this is the hex map, which is all you really need for the starter game. As you saw, like, some had like a 21 hex range, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yeah, 16, well, 18 when you, 17 when you include the half hexes. So, yeah, you can start shooting at each other first term. It's really condensed to allow your battle mechs to engage quickly. I've seen some insane combinations. This is not my favorite hex map that they provide. You can buy these in paper form. They do have upgrade packages available through their website for more expanded encounters. During the last Kickstarter, I ended up purchasing a lot of the there's neoprene matte ones that are really high quality that I enjoy. Yeah, and really nice on that. And as you can see, it all fits conveniently in this nice box. It's a really great way to get you started in the BattleTech universe. I'm a little sad that they've cut down the rules significantly, because it used to be you had it was the full rules, just not all the technology that you had access to in the beginner box. This one seems to have cut down the core rules to just some basic high-level concepts and enough to get you playing, but there's a lot of cool add-ons that this game is missing in the basic box. I'll go more in depth in the full-on version of BattleTech review, but it has gone quite crazy, the amount of extended rules that you can play with this game. There's all kinds of weather situations. You can have temperature because of the heat mechanics. All kinds of science fiction advanced weaponry you can equip when you've got electronic warfare systems that you're engaging with. Once you get the rules for like building your own mechs and vehicles, it's not too bad. I'm not sure how long this initial game plays. It does not indicate on here how long the game plays. I would expect this basic one to be able to do in like maybe less than an hour, possibly hour and a half gameplay, this basic version. Once you start going into more advanced ones, you can really go crazy with how advanced a warfare simulation you want to get into. I've played a company on company, which is 12 BattleMechs each, with support vehicles, with extreme rules add-ons that had weather, temperature, custom rescue scenario that we had devised. We spent like 8 hours playing. This simplified version could probably be, I'm guessing, in about an hour, however. But BattleTech is really nice as a war game because it really lets you select what level of complexity that you want to play the game at, as well as helping really cater itself to your group's individual play style. Compared to, again, the elephant in the room, Warhammer 40,000, which has a very tightly defined tournament scene. And only recently did Games Workshop start trying to do some like inkling toward narrative support, though it's still in my mind very underwhelming. This game has both a good tournament scene and an extremely good home customizable narrative play structure that you can implement with your players, to the point that you can also buy, there's a Time of War RPG as well as the MechWarrior Destiny RPG that are still both supported through their magazine with additional content that you can play, and tie in RPG elements into BattleTech as well. That you really one-stop shop, have a great universe, sandbox, military simulator, hard sci-fi environment to let your players and imaginations run loose when playing this game. But on its own, BattleTech the Beginner's Box. If nothing else from the what cost you pay in order to get into it, I believe that this is one of the best ways to experience the game, particularly, again, if they offer another one of those good humble bundles, where, as you said, you get this, a bunch of expanded rulebook scenarios and material. As I said, I think I paid like $30 after shipping and handling to get this, plus all those other PDFs. Even just the box itself, you pick it up at your local game store, get started with a group, give yourself a really good feel if this is the type of combat system for you. As I said, though, if you want to go full hog with the heat management system and more advanced resource management that comes with the full game, you'll need apparently some extra books to really get into that. But get your teeth or get your feet wet. I believe that this is a pretty good box. I would have liked to have rated this slightly higher because of my memories of the old WizKids, what came in it. The even more stripped down rules than what I remember. I'm thinking, while it does allow players a more convenient entry point into the game, I believe that they've stripped it down so bad that when they get that entry into the full game where it includes basics of those resource management. I think they've stripped too much out of it that could possibly be detrimental to people making the leap from beginner's box into the full game. I'll have to look at someone else, talk to some people about their opinion on that. As a beginner's box, however, I would rate this a very solid 15 overall. The price is good at $25. It gives you 2 miniatures that you get, which at GW prices, that's probably what you would pay for 2 miniatures from them. I take that back. I think they're selling like some characters for like $40 now. So, and already you get much more plastic out of this for your $25 than you get from GW, as well as the quick start rules, as well as some in-universe setting materials so you can understand the game. It's already ready to play right out of the box. All you have to do is find someone else to read the rules with you, can get started. I find this a very good solid 15 on the 1 through 20 rating scale. It definitely is aimed more at those who like older style war games, that when you want to make that leap into like really crunchy, and even though it's fiction, like realistic within universe specs combat, it aims for that. It's not a coffee table game like 40K or Alpha Strike where you can just play it in a 30 minutes to an hour. It's really designed for you to like really engage in military simulation, I think is when it's at its finest. But this box for $25 is really going to give you the option to figure out whether or not this universe, this product line is for you. And for that, definitely a solid 15. Alrighty, I want to thank you all for watching the video. Again, please hit like, comment, subscribe, share it with family and friends. Do check out Tex of the Black Pants Legion. He has a great series, Tex Talks BattleTech. Even if you're not interested in getting into BattleTech, the game, the universe, and his podcast program explaining the universe are extremely amazing. Great getting into. Sarna.net, which will appear on the screen here, is the major wiki for this game. An extremely dedicated, supportive fan base that really keeps this universe and this game going. Some of the greatest people out there in the wargame space, I believe, are definitely the BattleTech players. Take that, Games Workshop. And the lore, beyond anything else, just the free lore is worth it to experience it at least once in your life. And again, particularly if you take Tex up at the Black Pants Legion to experience the Ameris Civil War or the description of mechs in general. It's one of the best fantasy history series on YouTube. Unfortunately, he is only able to put one out once in a blue moon because he pours his heart and soul into those videos so much that they are amazing quality that you cannot be described. In my opinion, it has to be experienced to truly understand just the quality of what this man puts together. So thank him and his friends for the revitalizing my interest in BattleTech recently, since finding him and doing the lore series, and helping get his help for finding another crowd, helping all those poor refugees from Games Workshop, finding a new war game that's really worth supporting at this rate. I'm a little bit concerned with Catalyst Games Lab going forward, whether or not it will be worth supporting the company, but the IP is definitely worth it, and I want to highly recommend everybody giving this a chance. So I will see you all next time, and I'll have another video out next Thursday. Adios, and maybe in a week or two I'll put up a poll asking for some like catchphrase I can try to use in this video, because I feel like I should say something, but I have nothing cool to say. I have business buchayat, but only like 12 people in the world actually know the meaning behind that phrase and have any sort of emotional attachment to it, and I need a new catchphrase. So if you have any suggestions for a catchphrase, please put it in the comments below. Trying to point when looking at a screen off to my right and orientate the pointing direction is a little bit harder than I figured. But yeah, please provide a suggestion if you can, and I'll see you all next time. Peace!